Mark Carney, the Liberal Party's handpicked messiah, was supposed to waltz into Parliament, draped in glory, flanked by 1,000 CBC cameras and showered in bureaucratic praise. Instead, he's pacing in his designer socks, stress-eating kale chips and whispering, "It was supposed to be easy," while his so-called victory disintegrates like Trudeau's approval ratings in Alberta. Yes, folks, Canada just hit Control-Z on the Liberal fairy tale, and Carney's coronation cancelled, postponed indefinitely, maybe permanently. In case you missed it, the Liberal machine, that polished, smug narrative, manufacturing monstrosity, has hit a recount iceberg, and Captain Carney is still clinging to his broken compass, wondering where it all went wrong. Meanwhile, Conservatives across Canada are breaking out the maple whiskey and dancing a joyous jig on what may be the political grave of Liberal inevitability. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Let's dive into the chaos, the mail-in debacles, the recount reversals, and yes, Mark, wasn't I supposed to win automatically? Carney getting publicly politically pantsed. First stop on the flaming Liberal train wreck tour Terra Nova. This once sleepy riding is now the epicenter of the electoral firestorm. Hundreds of mail-in ballots were returned. Not for fraud, mind you, but because Elections Canada couldn't even enter a postal code correctly. Postal codes, people, it's not rocket science. You can't spell incompetence without EC. How many of those mail-in ballots were conservative enough to flip a result? Who knows, but if you're Mark Carney, it's probably enough to keep you up at night, wrapped in a Trudeau-branded comforter, wondering if mailboxes have turned against you. But wait, it gets worse. Over in Windsor-Tecumseh, the Liberals thought they had it locked. Carney and his backroom brigade funneled every dollar, every whisper, every electoral spell into flipping that riding. They won by 77 votes. Or so they thought. Recount. Oops. Turns out it's actually a 4-vote win for the Conservatives. That's not just a recount, that's a political slapstick routine. Cue the cartoon sound effects. Boing. And East Halton Hills. Another recount. Another suspicious surge of Liberal ballots during advance polling. The kind of sudden, magical burst that makes you wonder if ballots were falling from the sky like Liberal tears. No explanation, no demographic shift, just here's a dump of red votes. And naturally, Elections Canada tells us just trust us. Sure, trust you, like we trusted the Phoenix pay system or Trudeau's ethics. Mark Carney, supposedly the adult in the Liberal room, is now looking less like a fiscal wizard and more like a kid caught using Monopoly money in a poker game. The guy who was pitched as the anti-chaos candidate is now the mascot for electoral meltdowns. Across the nation, Canadians aren't just watching, they're howling. Social media has turned into a nationwide group chat titled, "Liberal What Now?" Conservative supporters in Windsor are celebrating like they just found oil in their backyard. Voters in East Halton Hills are demanding audits with the kind of energy usually reserved for hockey riots. Even people who once politely mumbled, "Well, I guess Carney knows what he's doing," are now openly mocking him on TikTok, lip-syncing, "Oops, I lost again." Meanwhile, Carney's opponents are basking in the glow. Pierre Poilievre's smug levels at an all-time high. You can almost hear him sharpening his sound bites and humming the theme song to Mission Liberal Impossible. One MP who requested anonymity said Mark Carney thought he was entering Parliament on a red carpet. Now he's trying to crawl in through the side door of a Tim Hortons, hoping no one notices. Oh, we noticed. And don't even get us started on the Trudeau-Carney inner circle. According to insider leaks, emergency legal teams have been deployed like they're defusing bombs. Advisors are locked in rooms, dry erase boards covered in equations that all end in, "We're screwed." But the pièce de résistance in this political tragic comedy? Mark Carney's glorious silence. Where is the future savior of Canadian liberalism? Where's the grand vision, the reassuring words? All we're hearing is the echo of his LinkedIn profile and the soft weeping from a secluded Toronto penthouse. And let's not pretend the media is not complicit. CBC is pretending like this isn't happening. CEV is burying the lead under weather gets mildly weird in Moose Jaw. They're terrified because this isn't just a recount, it's a regime collapse. Carney's political career was built like a glass castle. Shiny, precise, untouchable. But guess what? Turns out when you throw a little democracy at it, smash. All that's left is a guy with a spreadsheet and a panic attack. He thought he was the technocrat on a white horse. Now he's the punchline of Canada's biggest electoral meme. What we're seeing isn't just a few tight races flipping red. This is foundational. A moment when Canadians stood up and said, "No, we don't want a coronation. We want a fair election." And what a beautiful thing it is. Recounts are working. Conservative candidates are rising. Liberal arrogance is finally hitting a wall called accountability. This isn't paranoia. This is pattern recognition. Why do liberal victories always come in the dark of night via mail-in ballots that nobody can trace? Why do recounts consistently reverse liberal wins, not solidify them? Why are conservative leads always corrected after advanced ballots are counted? And why does Carney always look like he just walked out of a haunted vote-counting warehouse? Here's what really keeps the liberal brass sweating through their tailored suits: momentum. The recount dominoes are falling, and they know if just a few more ridings demand audits, the whole house of cards will come down. Because it turns out their grip on power was never as solid as they made it seem. In Ontario alone, over 90 ridings were decided by margins smaller than a polling booth sneeze. If recounts spread, the Liberals could see their majority vanish like Carney's credibility. Mark Carney's carefully crafted aura of competence disintegrating. His path to leadership now littered with recounts, reversed votes, and a public who's suddenly asking very inconvenient questions. And not even his best Bay Street friends can spin this fast enough. This is no longer just an election result. It's a political awakening. Canadians are wide-eyed and furious. They're demanding real audits, voter ID, chain of custody protocols, and public transparency that doesn't come with a smug liberal smirk. And who's answering the call? Pierre and the Conservative Party showing up with receipts, recount lawyers, and the unshakable conviction that your vote should actually count. While Carney hides behind a curtain of consultants and Trudeau tries to remember which socks are best for damage control, Conservatives are gaining strength. They're winning the battles that actually matter. So yes, let the recounts roll on. Let the ballots be rechecked, recounted, reevaluated, until even the last ghost vote gets exorcised from the system. Because every time a seat flips from red to blue, it's not just a win, it's a liberation. Mark Carney may have had the media, the money, and the machinery, but what he didn't have, the people. And now that's costing him everything. This isn't just a recount, it's a reckoning. So grab your popcorn, your audit forms, and your favorite Pierre meme, because Canada's waking up and the liberal nap is over. Make no mistake, this is just the beginning. And for Mark Carney, it's going to be a long and very public fall from that ivory tower. If you're tired of being gaslit by taxpayer-funded talking heads, if you believe your vote should count, and if you're loving the sound of liberal panic echoing through Parliament Hill, hit that subscribe button. Because we're not just watching this meltdown, we're documenting it, mocking it, and celebrating every flipped seat with a patriotic mic drop. The recount revolution is here, and Mark Carney, he's about to find out the hard way. Canada doesn't do coronations, we do comebacks.